Heat. Widely considered to be one of the quintessential heist films of all time. I want to talk about the shootout scene. And yes, I know this scene gets talked about a lot. Usually in reference to this being the first movie to understand what an actual shootout sounds like. Deafening, terrifying, worse than anyone could ever imagine. Anyone with real firearms experience can pick up on this. And loads of films to this day still don't really seem to know how to get this right. But I want to talk about the other two big reasons this scene stands out to me. Reasons I haven't seen discussed very often. The first big one is technical. And it starts at the very first frame of Val Kilmer going all Iceman on those two cops. This scene, in its entirety, is a perfect example of flawless blocking and directing. A big problem I have with a lot of action movies from the early 2000s forward is that so much emphasis is created on scale and spectacle that we've begun to see a lot of action movies that look like this. Or the production doesn't want to take the time to properly train actors, or hire incredibly talented ones, so you get this. In Heat, we know exactly where every character is at every moment. The stage is set in an anxious build-up that leads to the beginning of the firefight. When the guns start going, the camera can afford to jump a bit to showcase the confusion a real firefight can create. But we still know exactly where our players are, and once the car is off, we're able to follow accordingly. Following the death of the guy from the Allstate commercials, our actors jump out of the car into the chaos. Here, the camera now simply showcases the talents of the actors, using longer takes and wider lenses. To put it simply, it looks like they know what they're doing. I mean, watch Iceman here. And there's a reason why that looked so natural.
Everybody really well trained so that they felt that they could actually do what the characters in this film do.
We took each individual actor and trained him how to use the weapons. When we were on the ranges, we had actually cops teaching cops. So it kind of divorced everybody. So the bad guys were bad and the good guys were good, you know.
When studios and productions take the time to cast capable actors and spend the money to actually train them to do the stunts and intense performances that are requested of them, you get a scene that's truly special. So, switching gears, I want to get into why this scene is much more important to me than being the exciting climax of the film. Now, everything leading up to this shootout has been a game of cat and mouse. Vincent Hanna has been at the throat of Neil McCauley this entire movie. In the brief exchange they have before the shootout, Vince even says,
"If it's between you and some poor bastard whose wife you're gonna turn into a widow, brother, you are going down."
Now let's skip to the end. I remember watching this scene for the first time on my own and being too caught up in wanting to see Vinny take down Neil and Michael to realize something is really off about this moment. It wasn't until I watched it with a friend and they loudly yelled, "Just call off the chase," that I got it. Why is Vinny still pursuing a lunatic with an assault rifle and actively engaging him in a loaded city center? The movie even makes a point to show the terror and collateral damage being caused. And it got me thinking. This is the moment in the movie where we see the real Vincent Hanna. Not the cop or the failed husband, but the vengeful, borderline crazy side of him that has prioritized getting the bad guy over the safety of the people he's sworn to protect. He knows the man he's pursuing is only after theft. The dude isn't running through the crowd murdering people, he just wants to get away with his money. That's probably insured. But here we see a man who is so hellbent on getting a win, so intent on following up on his word and being the enforcer, he's kind of lost sight of the bigger picture, if only temporarily. He's no longer keeping people down to protect them, but rather shoving them out of the way of his line of fire. And it all culminates to this moment. Notice how, even though Michael is literally using a child as a human shield, once we are seeing into Vincent's line of sight, his eyes are locked on his target, with the child almost being an afterthought. I mean, he's lucky he didn't miss. With the exception of the end of the movie, this scene illustrates the parallels that are drawn between the criminal mastermind Neil and Lieutenant Vincent Hanna. It's a reminder that when we become consumed by obsessions born out of a sense of duty or internal struggle, we can all lose sight of the reason we became obsessed in the first place.
I got a stepdaughter so fucked up because her real father's this large type asshole. I got a wife. We're passing each other on the downslope of a marriage, my third. Because I spend all my time chasing guys like you around the block. That's my life.
Those two elements are factors that build this scene to be one of the most memorable in cinematic history. And while as often as this scene is referenced, I feel like it's still a scene not talked about.